afternoon, everybody. We are here on behalf of our Director, Greg Peary, who nominated Marin County for the Environmental Health Award for Excellence. We will be presenting on the adoption of Marin County's Reusable Foodware Ordinance. And we are excited to finally join the other jurisdictions who have already adopted a foodware ordinance. To give a little background, the Reusable Foodware Ordinance builds on Marin County's 2009 polystyrene ban, further addressing our long-term goal for sustainable food packaging. The project started in October of 2019 with the collaboration of our sustainability team and environmental health, bringing policy and implementation together. The counties first put out a RFP to draft an ordinance and to start the stakeholder engagement. There was a lot of interest presented to the Board of Supervisors, some of which were younger Marin County residents. 2 middle schoolers were so passionate that they went and met with the supervisor to express their interest in a county ordinance. The students stayed engaged throughout the whole process and attended and spoke at every Board of Supervisors meeting. It was meaningful to see our younger generation take part in this process in Marin. The timing of the ordinance was definitely affected due to the upheaval COVID caused for our food businesses. Progress was paused in the spring of 2020 and wasn't able to be picked back up until May of 2021. In the fall of 2021, the county created a countywide grant program, and I will go into that a little bit more in the next few slides. And on May 10th, 2022, we adopted the Foodware Ordinance. The impact the pandemic had on the food facilities was immense. It changed the way we eat and the way businesses operate. This only added to the concerns among many of our stakeholders, such as food businesses, environmental activists, the cities, and residents. Hearing these concerns and perspectives prompted the county to adjust its strategy. This was accomplished by providing more extensive public engagement, publishing additional drafts of the ordinance, and developing a countywide grant program. And then the most important during all of this to get buy-in was coming up with an incremental and gradual path for operators to transition. 20+ meetings were held where translations were provided and the meetings were recorded. And those recordings were made available on the county's website. Food vendor and community surveys were provided both in English and Spanish. A resident survey was also conducted, and that survey showed that there was an overwhelmingly resident need that they wanted the ordinance. There was also a long period for public comments, and during that time, 3 different drafts of the ordinance were published. A letter was sent out to all of our food businesses, and this was in coordination with workshop meetings so that everyone was informed. Frequently asked questions and a matrix of compliant alternatives was created and available on our website. This was done to make it easy for businesses to have access to the information. Also linked were other outreach materials and ordinances already passed from 2 of our other cities. Publications were provided, flyers and press releases were released to put the message out there. And after all of the county's efforts, it paid off. We passed our ordinance in May. The grant program ran from July 2021 to November 2021. It was open to all of the food vendors. Businesses could receive up to $100 to $500 to voluntarily adopt requirements and receive technical assistance. The grant outreach was conducted in English and Spanish, and 25% of the businesses who participated in the grant program used the money to buy reusables. The grant program is currently being extended to further assist the businesses with the transition.
I'm going to talk a little bit about the ordinance. The number one goal of the ordinance is to reduce plastic waste and litter from going into our gutters, storm drains, creeks, San Francisco Bay, and ultimately the ocean. According to a study conducted by Rethink Disposal, we work with local jurisdictions, businesses, and consumers of takeout food packaging. An estimated 100 million plastic items will be taken out of our system in Marin County by switching to reusables. Another goal of the ordinance is to reduce waste going to our landfill, which ultimately reduces greenhouse gas emissions and the use of resources to produce, transport, and dispose of our plastic waste. Also important is the reduction of chemicals such as PFAS that can be present in disposable foodware and contaminate our food, water, and environment. Another consideration and goal of the ordinance is the cost. The Rethink Disposal study mentioned earlier also concluded that there would be a cost savings of $4,282 per business by switching to reusables. Leveling the playing field was also important to our stakeholders to bring clarity and consistency to businesses and the communities across the county. And lastly, the ordinance would be in line with recently adopted state regulations, AB 827, SB 1383, and AB 1276. The ordinance also lists the most recent municipal regional saltwater requirements by reducing plastic waste and litter from our environment. The key features of the ordinance. Basically, all plastic foodware is banned. To-go foodware has to be fiber-based or aluminum and BPI certified. BPI certified products do not contain bioplastics or PFAS. This was an important consideration because no compost site in Marin County accepts bioplastics. This determination was the result of our meetings with all of our haulers and processors in the county to ensure that the ordinance aligns with the current county waste structure. To-go accessories are only allowed upon request or at a takeout station and must be fiber-based and compostable when available. And some exceptions are allowed under the ordinance, such as foodware items that are not available commercially yet. And this list is available on our website and will be reviewed annually. Dine-in foodware must be reusable or fiber-based and compostable and BPI certified if it is disposable. Exceptions are allowed, such as napkins, paper straws, and foil wrappers. The ordinance also includes an itemized charge of 25 cents for disposable cups, and facilities can start charging that now to offset their costs. The goal of adding this to the ordinance is to incentivize and push people towards reusable versus disposable. And lastly, a 3-stream collection system requirement is included in the ordinance, which is in line with both SB 1383 and AB 827. The county-wide approach, basically after we had extensive public engagement, the major pushback from our stakeholders was the timing of the ordinance and the impact that the pandemic had on their businesses. So in response to their concern, we adopted a gradual and incremental plan and focused on education and consulting. Part of the plan was to delay enforcement for 18 months after the adoption of the ordinance. And this allows businesses additional time to use up their existing stock and receive outreach and education. So we're not starting enforcement until November of 2023. Interested cities and towns can sign on to county's ordinance within 12 months after the adoption of the ordinance, or sign on after the 12 months with a one-time enforcement program setup fee. Also, cities and towns may request that the county EHS enforce on their behalf by signing an MOU. County EHS inspectors will be providing toolkits to food establishments as part of their routine inspections, and the cost of education and enforcement by EHS will be covered by the food facility permit fees.
So in summary, the push for change comes from climate change, the need to reduce plastic waste in our environment, and the outreach we receive from our community and environmental groups in support for a reusable foodware ordinance. Reusables are best, compostables are aluminum okay, plastic or plastic-lined paper is banned. Due to the impact the pandemic had on the businesses, our strategy had to change in order to gain buy-in in post-COVID. We increased our efforts in public engagement with the extended period for education, additional consultation, and a deferred and progressive enforcement. Thank you, everybody. That's our 10 minutes. We had to cram everything in.